What's up guys? In today's video I'm going to teach you how to create a Python bot with a Metatrader and the indicator RSI. So you are going to see that it's very simple, but it's a little bit long. So let's start. So the first thing that we have to do is to create a main function that is going to build that bot and make it execute it. So here is what I call that bot, that by the way is a class, and I'm going to show you how to create this class and so on. But yeah, here what I do is that I initialize the MetaTrader 5, and here what I do is that I initialize all the threads of the bot that we are going to use. So let's start by seeing the bot class. So in this class we have several things, and look, the first one is the constructor in which we set the lotage, we set the time period in which we want the bot to work, and then we set the market in which we want the bot to execute. So for example, if you want the bot to execute in the USD, so you will put here Euro USD. So I've put it here a lot of comments, and by the way, this is in my GitHub. So if you come here to GitHub, trading bot, and you just simply come to TA and RSI, here in this bot folder, you have all this code and you can do whatever you want with it. So, oh, not this one. So here, what we are doing is that we are going to create a list with the threads. So later, if we want to destroy those threads, we know where they are and so on. So here we have this data dictionary in which we are going to store the candles. We are also going to store the last two values of the RSI, and here we are just setting some variables in order to make the threads work together. So here, once the candles are ready, we are able to load the RSI. And the same happens with the RSI. So once the RSI is loaded, then we are able to open operations. That's how this works. So here we have this variable, which is a threading event, and this event is the one which is going to stop the threads whenever we want. And also here we have another dictionary with the trading data in which we are going to store the data that we introduce here. So we are going to store the lotage, time period, and the market. This is for the constructor, and as you can see, it's very simple. We are just setting the values. Then we have the different threads, but before using the different threads, you are seeing here this commented, and you may be wondering, hey, what is this? So first, I was using another way to log in with the MetaTrader 5, but I've seen that if you just simply use this, like if you just in the initialize method put your ID, your server, and the password, it is going to work. And don't worry, I don't care about this account because it's a demo account, and if you want to take it or do whatever you want, you are free to do it. So once we know that, what we have to check is what these threads do. So let's say that we call first the thread candle. What we are doing here is that we are going to store the thread, so we later are able to delete it. As you can see here in the kill function, we are joining all the threads in this thread list. That's why we are saving those threads. And what we do is that we are targeting a special function in the candle file that we are going to see now. So these are the arguments of that function, and again, as I said before, we save the thread, we start it, and we just say that we just started. So let's see that function. In this function, well, in this file, we have two functions. This one, which loads the previous candle, and it's very simple. With this, I just take into account that if we are in the weekend, we don't have problems, because in the weekends, the markets are closed, and we have to check that. So what I do next is that I take the data from all the candles from the previous days. So here I take 300,000 ticks, and from those 300,000 ticks, what I do here in all this is to load candles to store those ticks in candles. So for example, if you want to check how do I create candles, it's very simple. In this two candle file, what I have is a class in which I set the candles. So As you can see, it is very simple. It contains the open time, the open, the close, the high, and the low. So with this function, what we are doing is that we are sending a tick, and it's going to store that tick in the close. And if that tick is the highest one, we are going to set it as the highest one. And if that tick is the lowest one, we are going to set it as the lowest one. So that's what we do here. And this is just for creating a pandas data frame, because it returns a list and is very useful if you want to create a pandas data frame. So let's continue with the candle file. And as I said before, here we create those candles. And as you can see here, we are checking that every period that we want, for example, if we want candles of 15 minutes, every period we are going to create a new one. So with this new one, this new one is the one which is going to have the information of the new ticks that come, and so on. So every time period we create a new one, and so on, so on, so on, so on. Another thing is that here I said that the maximum amount of candles that I want are 50. So once I've loaded all the ticks, what I do is that I delete the previous ones that I don't want, because I want the last 50 ones. So I delete all those ones before that I don't want. So this function, the thread candle, is the one which is going to be executed by the thread. And the first thing that it does is that it calls this load previous candles function, which is the one I just explained. So once all the ticks are loaded, then we use this variable in the dictionary to say that this is true, that the candles are ready. So if the candles are ready, we are telling the RSI that, hey, you are ready and you can start executing things. But we are going to see this later. So once we say that, we are going to keep storing candles, and that's what we do here. So every 0.1 seconds, we are going to execute this. So if you wanted, you could put less time, but I just said that, hey, for me, it's not that important to load those candles because I'm going to operate on big time periods. So that depends on you. If you want to change this to every second, to every millisecond, you're free to do that. So what we basically do here is that, okay, we take the current time, and again, if we are in a new period, in a new candle, we are going to create a new candle. And again, we delete the ones we don't want. So if we have 51, we are going to delete the first one. And in the case that, hey, it is not the time to create a new candle, we just update the close of the candle by calling the tick value. Well, the close, the high, the low, etc. So we obtain here the tick with Metatrader 5, the tick of the price, and here we just store that value. So remember that in order to take the tick of the price, what you do is to use MT5 symbol info tick, and you just take the bid or the ask or whatever. So the same happens here. In order to take the previous ticks with Metatrader 5, what you have to call is the function copy ticks from. That's why I also did this thing here, because I want to take the values from allowed date. So for example, I cannot take values from the Saturday, because the Saturday there is no market. So that's why I was doing this here. So once you have that date, you have to create the UTC format and then send this to the function. Okay, so let's continue now to the RSI. So as you can see, let me open again the bot. Here we just seen this function, the one which creates the thread of the candle. But in this one, we create the thread of the RSI. And this one is very simple. So again, we store the thread, we call from the RSI file the function thread RSI, and we send all these arguments that are the ones that we are going to need. So let's go to this function, and here in this file, we just have one function, which is the one of the thread. So the first thing that we do is to wait until the candle thread tells us that we are ready to create RSI, like we are ready to load and compute the RSI indicator. So we do this by checking this value. So if this value is false, it means that the bot, well, the candle file, the candle thread is still not finished, like it's still loading values. So remember that we do this here. Once it is true, the candle thread is finished and we are able to load the RSI indicator. So what we do now is that once it is finished, what I need to do is to create a data frame. And why do I need to create a data frame? Because we are going to use the TA library in order to load the indicator. So we are going to use the RSI object, and what we first need to do is to create a data frame. In that toCandle file, I also have this function that, given a list of candles, what it returns is a data frame with those candles. So that's what it does here. We created the data frame with the candles, and now we need to send the column of the close. So this indicator will compute the value of the RSI based on the close column. So we are going to set that the parameter of the RSI is going to be 14, and once we've done that, we create the series calling this method, and that's it. Now we can store the last two values in this way. So we use the ilog attribute, and here we say that we want the last one and we want the one before. So now let me change this, because I don't really want the last one, because the last one is moving and I don't want the ones which are moving. I want the ones which are static. So we are going to take the previous one of the last one and then the previous one of that one. So once we've done that, like, remember, we are not in a loop. Once we've done that, we now have to synchronize this thread with the current time, like with the time period. Because imagine that we are in the 15-minute chart and we want to do that now. So now it's like 8:37 in the morning, and if we do that now, the candles are not going to be synchronized with the RSI. So what we have to do is to wait until it is 8:45. So in that case, the RSI thread is synchronized with the market and with the candles. And that's what we do here. I call this loop, and once this is synchronized, once this happens, we go out of the loop and then we come to the main loop of the thread. So this is the main loop of the thread in which we load the RSI. And here you can see that we are again doing the same. And again, we are storing the RSI values, like the last two values of the RSI, in the data dictionary that is shared by all the threads. So once we've seen this, we just need to see another thread, and we can go here and see that here in this next function we are calling the thread orders, and this thread is the one which will open orders, and this is very cool. So here what we have to do is that we again have to store the thread, then call the function from the file orders, and then set these arguments. So once we've done that, we can come here, and here you are going to see that, well, this file contains two functions. The function open position, that is going to open a buy or a sell depending on what you send here, and the main thread. So this main thread is very simple. Here we wait to the RSI to load, because we are going to use the RSI to check if we have to open a buy or a sell. So once the RSI is loaded, then we are going to come to the main thread. So as I said before, it depends on how fast you want your bot to be. Here I just put it that every 10 seconds I want to execute this. So what I do is that every 10 seconds I check the current time, and I check if the conditions with the indicator are met, and if so, we are going to open a position. Here I also check that there has passed some time between the last operation, and this is set here. So if the current time that I loaded here is bigger than the one in the last operation, plus the time that I want to pass in that period, we will also open an operation. If there's no time between operations, we won't open that operation. So here you have the time between operations, which are 3 candles, and this depends on the time period. So for example, if you are in a 15-minute, 3 candles are 45 minutes. So you have to wait 45 minutes until you open another position. But yeah, that being said, let's see the open position function. And you can see here, the open position receives the market and the lotage, but it receives also the type. So if you want to open a buy, you will put here a buy, and if you want to open a sell, you will put here a sell. So let's see the function, and the function is very simple. So first of all, what we do is that we take the point, because as you can see here we have the stop loss and the take profit, and we have to define this. Here I just put it 0, but for example, if you want it to be 10 or you want it to be 20, you can put it in this way. So once we've defined that, this is going to be very useful, the point, because we have to multiply this by the stop loss and the take profit, so we put a decent stop loss and a decent take profit. Otherwise, for example, if we are in the EUR USD, the values are, here, for example, in the EUR USD, the values are 1. So if we put the take profit at 70, it is never going to happen. But what we want is to put it 70 points above or below the price. So for example, these are 400, but yeah, you can see here that it is telling you the number of points in this chart. So once we have that, we are going to set the stop loss and the take price. So we have the point, we multiply it by the number of points that we want to take into account, and then we subtract that to the price, or we add it depending on if we want to open a buy or a sell. So for example, once we've done that, it is as simple as creating this dictionary. So we have to set the action, we have to set the market, the lot edge, then we have to set the type. And remember, if the position that we are going to open is a buy, we have to set this, but otherwise we have to set a sell. We also have to set the current price, and that's why we take it here. So once you've taken the current price, that by the way, I realize that you can do this here and remove this. So once you've set the current price, you have to put it here. The same happens with the stop loss and the take profit. You have to put the deviation, magic. I don't really know what the magic is, but yeah. So another thing that you have to put is the type filling, but this depends on the broker that you use. So for example, this may give you errors or maybe not. So you have to check that there are 3 types of order type filling. And for example, if this one is giving you errors with the broker that you are using, use this one. And if this one is still giving you errors, use this one. And yeah, that will be okay. So, and remember, this is in the Metatrader 5 documentation, and you can check this here. But these are the only values that are in the type filling. So remember, if you have problems with this one, you just change this one. So once we've done that, we have to send the order, and for example here we are sending the buy. That, by the way, I have to change this and put here operation, and change this and put here operation, and yeah, for example here change operation. So here we've just done that, like we open operation, and here if you have an error it will be shown. So what we are going to do now is to check the rest of the functions in the bot that are very simple. This one is to kill the threads. So it uses the event that we set before, and once you use the function of the event, the threads are going to be gone. So what we do later is to join each thread in this for loop, and that's why we saved the threads in these threads lists. But here we have this function that is as simple as putting an input, and this is just to make the main thread to be waiting. So once you put an enter or whatever, what you are going to do is to kill the threads and shut down the MT5. But let's see this in real life. How does this work? So let's open a terminal, and the thing that we have to do is to call the main function. So now it is telling you that the threads are launched and some of them are doing something. So for example, the candle thread is loading the previous prices, and the RSI is waiting for the candles. Once this loads the previous candles, we are going to allow the RSI thread to load the values. So we just have to wait, and well, this usually takes a little bit of time, but yeah, here you are seeing that now we are just processing the ticks, and here the RSI is synchronizing with the market. So here, if we've done that 1 minute before, it will be synchronized, but it is not going to be synchronized now. So in order to open an operation, this may take a little bit of time. So for that, I created a test value. So as you can see here now, I just pressed enter and the bot stopped. But here I created this file in which we are going to test the operations and see if they work. So in order to test them, what we do here is just simply First, we'll initialize the MT5, then we set the stop loss, the take profit, and then we open a position. For example, in the EUR USD, we open a buy position, and in the EUR GBP, we open a sell position. So let's check that. Test order.py. So as you can see, we open this one, which is the buy of the EUR USD, and now in 15 seconds you are going to see that it's going to open a sell in the EUR GBP. So we have to check that. If we go here and we just wait, here you can see that now it opened a sell position in the EUR GBP, and you can check also that the stop loss and the take profits are okay. So for example, the take profit is 500 points. So let's check that. If we, I don't know where the operation is, but if we do this, you can see that it is, well, 500, yeah. Maybe I've not taken it with a precise click, but yeah, 500 points more or less. And here there should be 100 points. So here, if we do this, here we have 100 points, yeah. So I think that was everything for this video on how to create a bot with the TA library, with the RSI, with Metatrader 5. Again, this is a lot of things, and as you can see, it's very easy. And if you want, and if you enjoyed the video, give it a like, share, subscribe, and see you in the next one.
Estoy bajando todo, lo siento, te quedas en nada.